One of the best places to start is by adding a simple habit to your morning routine or your evening routine, which is to write down 5 things that you want. They can be small, they can be big, anything. So let me see if I can get the 3 steps to developing synchronicity as a superpower in your life.
Yeah.
Number 1, you have to supercharge your attention about what you want. And if you don't know what you want, start writing 5 dreams down every damn day. And if you want help with that, go to melrobbins.com/dreambig. We've got a sheet that thousands of you have already downloaded that'll walk you through how to do this. Make this a practice, because this all begins with what's inside your mind, inside your heart. And so you got to get serious about putting your attention on what you want instead of bitching about the things that you don't have or the way that things are. So superpowering your attention is step number 1 for developing synchronicity in your life, correct?
Yep.
Okay, great. So step number 2, Professor Myers, if I'm getting this, is opening up your heart to those moments where now that you have supercharged your attention and said, I want that damn Gucci handbag. I don't care that it's sold out. I don't care that this, or I want friends. I need more friends in my life. I'm lonely. So you supercharge your attention to what you want. And then you got to be open to in the beginning, coincidences that you could easily be like, that's the way that my phone listens to me and it's serving up ads, or, oh, that person's just reaching out because they want something. You got to get rid of your negative filter on what's happening around you, and you got to wake the hell up and realize that all around you, Dr. Myers is here to profess people. He has researched this. All around you are magical connections, and it's connected to what you want inside you.
Yeah.
And the second
and the emotion that comes with that, you feel.
Yes.
You feel it.
Yes. Yeah. And so you gotta start to get positive and intentional about calling out these signs that life is trying to help you, that things are going in the right direction. You gotta grab one little thing and use it as like a little toehold to hold on to. And then when you call out that sign, you gotta walk toward it.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You know, I never realized that this is how I live my life. Like, I think what I've learned in this conversation is that synchronicity is something that I've been tapping into for a very long time. And there are periods in my life where I wasn't tapping into it and I was completely out of alignment and it was full of friction and self-destruction. And then there have been periods where I've allowed myself to say what I want, or at least say what wasn't working. And I allowed myself to start to believe in the signs that would be presented. And having done a tremendous amount of research about the reticular activity system and the filter in our brains and how you can change your mind and how your mind can help you, I really hope that as you're listening to this conversation, yes, I'm talking to you, that you will open your heart and your mind to this, because it's very real. I mean, they wouldn't be giving the Nobel Prize to somebody doing quantum entanglement if 2 particles a light year away could not impact one another. And I want you to realize the power of your thoughts, and you to realize that the world is trying to help you, that you are meant to live in alignment, that synchronicity is not only possible, it's something that you're wired to do. And you can start today. And I also realized something else, Dr. Myers, and it's this. You know, I wrote about this thing that I've done for years that I didn't realize is an example of training yourself for synchronicity. And the assignment's very simple. Today, when you're done listening to this podcast, I want you to look around you and I want you to find the symbol of a heart. And I want you to find it in nature, just naturally occurring somewhere. It could be the shape of a cloud. It could be on the top of your coffee. Last night, I noticed somebody tagged me online and she was riding Peloton. And as she's riding Peloton, she looked up and in front of her, beyond the screen, was a bookcase. And up on the bookcase was a vase. And somehow coming through the window, the sunlight had made the perfect shape of a heart on that vase. And she called it out. And so when you look around today, whether it's a leaf or a spot, my dog has, I realized after we got our puppy, he has a spot on his nose that is a heart. And I'm like, if that's not synchronicity, like this is the dog that's meant for me. And when you see the heart, I want you to just for a second open your mind and your heart to this kind of cheesy notion that will change your life. And tell yourself that that heart was placed there for you to find. Because when you allow yourself to kind of experience life as a gigantic scavenger hunt, that every day there are clues all around you, clues that tell you you're on the right path or the wrong path, clues that are there to help you feel more confident and full of faith that you're heading in the right direction, that things are going to get better, that you're meant for more. When you can turn your life into a giant scavenger hunt, it is the most incredible thing in the world. And looking for hearts or seeing angel numbers or any other sign that might make you feel a little empowered, this isn't some cheesy thing to do. Not only is there neuroscience around how you're reprogramming the filter in your brain when you intentionally fire up your awareness and you look for signs, but I think something really, really important is happening too. Seeing signs, looking for meaning and synchronicities, it provides guardrails. And these guardrails, they keep you going. They make you feel less alone. And right now, you may feel really alone, but I want you to know you're not. You can use this heart exercise as a way to start to see synchronicity. We're dealing with an epidemic of loneliness, and it's impacting everybody. So whether you're flying high right now and you need to look for signs and synchronicities in order to land the biggest deal of your life, or you need to look for signs and synchronicities just to make it through another day, this can help. The truth is, synchronicity, signs, it can help you believe again. In fact, as we were just wrapping up the recording of this episode, an email came in, I kid you not, at 4:14. And I just happened to glance at it as we were literally about to go, okay, episode's done on synchronicities. And I said, everybody, wait a minute. Eliza, who's a listener to this podcast, wrote in to the website for the form for the podcast. And here's what it said. I don't want anything, Mel. I just want you to know that I was literally on the verge of ending my life. And then I met you, my new friend. You're the one human on the planet right now who is able to keep me on this earth, and you don't even know me. Thank you. Also, I finally found one heart. I've been looking for days. It's a piece of coral, and I love you for telling me to look for hearts. Again, I don't want anything, just to say thank you for saving my life. This email to me was synchronicity. It came in at exactly the right time. It has extraordinary meaning for me because something felt missing from the episode. And what was missing was this synchronicity, something profound to show you that these simple things that I'm telling you work actually do. That sometimes all you need is to see a piece of coral in the shape of a heart and tell yourself that it was put there for you to remind you that yes, you are loved. And yes, you have a life that is worth living. And yes, you have the strength and the courage to get through whatever it is that you're facing. And that the synchronicities and the signs are all around you, that you have a big and beautiful life that is waiting for you. Whew! So, Eliza, thank you. and keep looking for hearts, because now that you have found one piece of coral, that reticular activating system in your brain, that filter that helps you spot synchronicities, guess what? You just programmed it today. And now it's going to help you see even more. Hey, it's Mel. I wanted to interrupt that video because I know you're here on YouTube looking for inspiration, looking for motivation, and looking for empowerment. So I thought we'd take this relationship to the next level. How about you join me in a brand new 3-part training class that I'm teaching right now. It's called Take Control with Mel Robbins. It is free. It is packed with science. It is packed with coaching, and it is packed with action. In fact, this class is so good that the second that you click the link below, you're in, class begins, and I send you an email with a link to the workbook you're going to download. That's right. I'm not joking around here. So if you're ready to tap back into excellence and start executing and winning again, this is an opportunity you cannot afford to miss. Let's stop watching YouTube and let's start doing what you're learning on YouTube. Click below and I'll be the one to push you and coach you into changing your life. All right, I'll see you in class. Now back to the video. Today, we've got brand new research, everybody.
Yes.
And we are going to introduce you to very simple behavior changes that you can institute immediately that will improve your life.
Yeah.
All grounded by research.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them quite shockingly weird and surprising.
Yes. And these are all brand new, just released, amazing, legit studies. So we're super excited to share them.
Okay. What is the first change we need to make?
Definitely. So there was recently a huge brand new study from researchers at the University of Texas at Austin and UChicago all about the power of random acts of kindness. And this study is called A Little Good Goes an Unexpectedly Long Way, Underestimating the Positive Impact of Kindness on Recipients.
Okay, but we all know that acts of kindness are things that make us feel good. But why is this brand new research something we have to pay attention to? So like in the year ahead, acts of kindness, people, all day long. How come we have to pay attention to this?
Definitely. So what the researchers really looked into is, why do we not do random acts of kindness? Because what they found is they're actually pretty uncommon. We think that, oh, we just do this, we all know what to do. We don't. Most people do not do random acts of kindness. And it's because we actually don't think it's going to matter to other people.
Oh.
Yeah. And what the researchers found is it does. No matter how tiny, a random act of kindness makes a massive difference for someone else, and you are happier as a result of doing it.
So that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that we should be doing this. But what you're saying is that we don't do this. And this is where the insight comes in.
Yes.
Is that we assume it's not going to matter.
Exactly.
And a random act of kindness, it's like the littlest thing.
Yeah.
Smiling at somebody,
Mm-hmm.
putting your arm around somebody, waving somebody into traffic.
Yeah.
Even tipping
Yes.
somebody that's
Huge
making your
one.
coffee and looking at them and saying thank you.
Mm-hmm.
These are all small things that make a difference. And we think it doesn't make a difference. And so I think that's where the learning is, at least for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that you're not doing it not because you don't think it's an important thing to do. You're not doing it because you don't think it matters.
Yes, exactly. And the New York Times picked up this brand new study, ran a huge article on it, and there were thousands of comments of people sharing their stories of random acts of kindness. And it's a reminder that these do matter to people.
And here's the interesting twist about the story, and it's why Tracy was so excited to talk about this particular piece of research. The stories were not from people who were like, oh, I started a pay it forward chain.
No.
Which, by the way, you know how everybody starts doing the pay it forward chains typically around the holidays where you're going to buy the coffee for the person behind you? I saw this interesting post by somebody who used to be a barista who says that is a complete nightmare for operations because it gets confusing whose drink is whose and what got paid for, and people don't know how to grab the drink. And that if you want to do something nice in a super busy coffee shop, look at the person making the coffee, tell them thank you and how much you appreciate them, and give that minimum wage person a tip that is the cost of a cup of coffee that you would have bought for the stranger behind you, which I thought was really interesting. But this piece of research, which really impacted me, is all of the comments were not about people bragging about their acts of kindness. It was people sharing stories about how an act of kindness from a stranger or a teacher or somebody in their life changed the trajectory of their life.
Their entire life. Yeah.
Why don't you read that one comment that had us all just get goosebumps?
Yeah, definitely. So this is a comment that was within the article. The comment said, "As a child, I lived in absolute poverty with an abusive parent. I had a music teacher who one day stopped me while walking down the hall and simply said, 'Are you okay?' I broke down. He took me to his office, fed me his lunch, and allowed me the space to pull myself together. He told me, 'You're in a bad spot, but it doesn't have to be your life.' That small gesture gave me the hope to believe in myself and allowed me to start considering a future where the cycle of abuse and poverty don't exist. 30 years later, he was right, and the cycles have been broken. That small moment changed my life, it changed my partner's life, and it changed my children's lives."
I want you to take a minute and I want you to think about a moment, an act of kindness that somebody else did for you that was meaningful. And when you think about it from being on the recipient's end, from you being the one, even if it's just as simple as like you were running super late for something and traffic was monstrous and a stranger waved you in with a smile, how that makes your energy shift. Mm-hmm. That's what I want you to think about when it comes to this brand new research.
Yeah.
Please, act of kindness, all of us, start incorporating it into our day-to-day lives. All right, what's next?
Okay, great. So this second piece of research is very exciting as we think about the new year is coming. A lot of us want new fitness routines, but it always seems to be easier to talk about creating that new routine than actually implementing it.
Okay.
Especially when you're busy, like you and I both are. This is a brand new study that is called Less Gym Time, Same Results.
I'm down. Less gym time, same results. Let's go, people.
Brand
what do we do?
new big study from researchers at Edith Cowan University in Australia, along with whole research teams in Japan and Brazil. Listen to this. All you need to do to build your strength is do what's called the eccentric muscle contraction, aka the second half of any exercise.
Okay, I don't know what you're talking about.
Imagine that you were standing up to sit down in your chair or to squat.
Okay.
It's simply the motion of the sitting down part, not the standing up.
Okay, so let me see if I'm getting this straight. So are you basically saying that so many of us are losing the benefit of certain things we do all day long? Like for me, plopping into a chair.
Yes.
I let gravity do the work. I do not consider sitting in a chair exercise. Are you telling me that this study says that I can consciously sit in a chair differently and I will be exercising?
Yes. It says that one muscle contraction in this downward movement for just 3 seconds a day can increase muscle strength if you do it each day.
What? Oh, okay, so you're not even necessarily talking about how, like, if you're doing bicep curls, you know, how people are like, you got to slow down and not just flump the weight down?
And that is true. And that in the research, they did use bicep curls to say people who just did the downward and then put their weights down. And then maybe they just got them back up, but it wasn't part of the motion.
Yep.
Yes. In exercise, they're saying you can cut your routine in half by just doing the second half of each exercise, but you can apply this in your life.
Wow.
For passive exercise.
Okay, I'm down with passive exercise. I remember when my mom found this revolutionary way of exercising where you literally lay on a table and they strap your feet into things and they lift your legs for you. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not exercise, but if it works for you and it gets you there, great. But so I'm going to unpack this because there's two benefits to this. Passive exercise, everybody. What was the fancy word?
Eccentric.
Eccentric. So it's true, when I do strength training, I focus on lifting up the weight. I don't get intentional about resisting it dropping down.
And the lifting up doesn't seem to matter that much, according to the research.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Now let's do the chair thing. So I want to try this. So I'm standing up.
Okay.
And normally when I go to sit down, I just like plop down.
Yeah. You just went right into the chair right
gravity
now.
did the work.
Yeah.
And the chair took the beating. Yes. Okay. So now I'm going to stand up and I'm going to...
You are slowly going down.
Okay. Now my shins are engaged.
Great. And now you're holding down for 1,
so I don't
2,
leak.
3.
And also, this is like an ab exercise. My butt is like an inch above the chair, and this is like a squat.
The research is saying if you can once per day for 3 seconds slowly chair sit, you have just exercised, building your muscles.
I'm doing this.
Could be easier than a whole weight training New Year's resolution.
My life has just been changed by passive exercise research. Ladies and gentlemen, Tracy, genius. Thank you. So we've got acts of kindness, remembering how profound they are for somebody, even just a smile. Oh, one act of kindness that I do all the time, whenever I see somebody that has their nails done, particularly like the tips and the cool stuff and the designs, I always compliment them. And the reason why is I know that they took the time to do it. And try this. Compliment somebody's nails. You will see somebody light up like a Christmas tree when you compliment their nails. They feel seen. They feel acknowledged. It's a simple way to do it. Okay.
What do you think of my sparkly nails?
Oh, Tracy, with the gold. You are not a nail polish person either.
No, I'm not.
Well, show them to the YouTube community. It's gold, everybody.
For Christmas.
All right. Next study.
So this study, when I first read it, I was a little bit floored by it. So this
floored
is
in the this is stupid or floored because there's
a mix.
There's
it
some
felt
research
stupid,
we find.
and I cannot believe how big of an impact and how big this study is for what it is. But I think this is a very simple thing that anyone can do for 1 second each day.
Wait, 1 second.
1 second.
Well, I think 5 seconds can change somebody.
5
You are
seconds.
taking it down, Tracy.
This one thing is going to give you an improvement in mental well-being for 8 hours. And it works in healthy people. It works in those with depression. It works in those with all different kinds of mental health challenges. Here is the study. This was a huge study in the UK at King's College London, huge reputable research university that was published in scientific reports.
Can I just stop you?
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to think of what this is.
Okay. I don't think you're going to get it right.
Orgasm?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
I can't think of anything else.
So this study took place across a 4-year span. They collected data of 20,000 assessments, and they had global participants in this study. And do you know what they found, Mel?
That would improve my life for 8 hours after just doing this for 1 second. No.
The study is called Feeling Chirpy. So in this study, what's really interesting too is you might think, okay, you're out in nature, that's the benefit. But no, they isolated. It is not about trees. It is not about plants. It is not about being by the water. It works if you listen on an app.
Really?
There is something about the sound of birds. You can go on YouTube. You can listen to a birdsong app. You could get outside. But that deeply resonates with us, even at a subconscious level, for 8 hours of improved mental well-being, up to 8 hours.
That's incredible. It reminds me, up here in Vermont, when my in-laws owned this house, there was a clock that used to hang in the kitchen. And every single hour was the photo of a different bird. And when the clock would hit the hour, the chirping of the bird would happen. And it didn't matter how many people were in the kitchen. Everybody would stop and turn toward the clock. And so on some level, this seems like one of those studies where you're like, honestly, who the hell even got this
funded
idea?
this?
But if they've got more than 26,000 assessments
over 4 years,
over 4 years, there's something here. And I just wonder, because I wonder if this has to do with evolution and the fact that if you think about our ancestors truly navigating and migrating and following patterns of nature and wind and stars and the migratory patterns of birds.
Yeah.
That I wonder if there is this connection. And, you know, I agree. I love the sound of birds, except for a crow. I don't like a crow. But if I hear a songbird chirping, it does cause a lift in mood.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Wow. So now I'm sitting down mindfully. I'm listening for birds.
Yeah. Just to put it on YouTube after your episode of the Mel Robbins podcast.
Maybe we should just play some birds right now.
Let's play the bird sound.
Okay.
Great.
What else you got for us?
Well, now that we're so grounded after our bird sound, there is a huge, brand new, just published study from Georgetown Medical Center, published in the JAMA Psychiatry Journal, which is a really big, prestigious journal. So this research is legit.
My dad used to get that. The journal, I think it's of American Medical Association.
Probably.
I can't believe that.
So this is legit. They compared in people who have anxiety, taking Lexapro versus doing mindfulness-based stress reduction, which often looks like a body scan or gratitude journaling.
Now, by body scan, you don't mean climbing into an MRI.
No, I mean, how is my body feeling right now?
So a lot of times in yoga, they'll use this relaxation technique in a class where you're like, scrunch up your feet, relax them. Scrunch your ankles, relax them. Flex your quads, relax them. That's sort of a way to kind of body scan. So that's one example. What's another example they used?
Gratitude journaling.
Really?
Yes, that's a powerful example of mindfulness-based stress reduction.
Okay, so they studied Lexapro.
Yes.
And then they also studied these mindfulness techniques that bring you into your body and into the moment.
Yes. And there are a number of them, but those are just two to highlight. It's the gratitude journaling. And what they found is the drop in anxiety was equal between Lexapro and just doing these deliberate mindfulness-based stress reduction practices like a gratitude journal.
Wow. I think I have a hunch for why that might be. Well, because as somebody who has dealt with and felt anxiety for almost my entire life. I mean, I have it under control now and I profoundly understand it. So I'm annoyed by it, but I'm not scared by it anymore. What's interesting is that anxiety, as we know, is an alarm. Mm-hmm. And anxiety is signaling that something's up and you need some reassurance. And anxiety also typically takes you immediately into the future that something bad's about to happen. If you're directing your mind to pick up a pen and to start writing what you're grateful for, you're activating a part of your mind that's different from the part of the mind that takes over when you're anxious. Mm-hmm. And so it's a way for you to almost like shortcut in your own mind this skill of pulling yourself into the present moment. And if you are having a panic attack or you're anxious, you're not in the present moment.
Exactly.
And so this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, definitely. And the research, still emphasizes that there's a need for medication and for practices, but in conjunction can have a really, really powerful effect, especially in how your brain actually changes, what areas are active.
Well, and the other thing that I've found personally and that we know based on the research is that the more that you practice these strategies, whether it's doing a body scan of your own body in the moment, whether it's gratitude journaling, whether it's certain forms of breathing, whether it is redirecting your thoughts. The other exercise we talk about a lot is the 5 senses, where in a moment where you feel anxious, you say, well, what can I smell right now? What do I see in front of me? And by describing those 5 senses, again, you are interrupting that part of the brain from taking over, signaled by the alarm, and you pull yourself into the present. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, definitely.
But I love knowing. Why do I love knowing that researchers at Yale have confirmed that? Because a lot of this is common sense.
A lot of it is common sense, but I think there's something about knowing your time spent in your gratitude journal is worth it.
That it matters.
It matters.
It really does.
Yeah.
All right. What else you got for us? This is really
great.
Cool.
So we've done the act of kindness.
Yeah.
You've sat in your chair very, 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 very slowly. You have listened to your bird sound. Now we have written down what we have gratitude about. This next one is super interesting, and it is about willpower. So a big study from UPenn in Michigan looked at 20,000 high schoolers as they studied for and took the SAT exam.
Okay.
What they found, taking into account socioeconomic status, all of their prior achievements throughout high school even, what matters the most for their study plan and their scores is if they didn't rely on willpower and set themselves up with strategies to better be able to study.
So you're saying if the students didn't do what I did or didn't do what I see my kids doing, which is basically you got the laptop open, you got the phone on, you got piles of books all around you, and you're just going to try to plow through it.
Yes.
If instead you get deliberate about chunking it out, putting the phone to the side, having deliberate blocks of time to study that you're going to do better on the test?
Yeah. In particular, the ones they mentioned was disabling your cell phone.
Okay. So turn the phone off. If you're serious about performing better.
Yes.
You got to turn the phone off when you're preparing. Okay. That's number one.
Setting up a distraction-free place to get your work done.
Setting up a distraction-free place. I'm starting to smile, Trace, because yesterday Tracy and I were going over the final draft to our newsletter that goes out twice a week. It's amazing. Just go to melrobbins.com to sign up for it. And Tracy was trying to get me to focus.
Mel was doing some online shopping while writing the newsletter to you guys, 2 tabs open.
And so Tracy was so awesome. She, without skipping a beat, you didn't even look at me. You just reached your hand over and shut the laptop and then shoved it away from me. You did what the study is telling. And do you know how quickly we wrapped up the final of it?
Yeah, we focused right in and an awesome newsletter went out.
Totally.
Yeah. And then the other strategy as well, in addition to distraction-free and disabling your cell phone, is creating a schedule to study.
So take a look at the week. If you've got a big project or you got something, and schedule in blocks of time where you're going to go to that distraction-free thing and you're going to turn off your cell phone. And that if you were to do that, did they find anything about how it also took less time, or just that you were more effective, whatever time you put in?
Yes. And one thing they found that did not work was when people said that they willed themselves to study. Willpower did not lead to results because willpower fades. We can't rely on willpower. And while this is about the SAT, you could probably generalize these results for anything where high performance or studying or preparation is needed.
So are you suggesting that sitting on the couch with Netflix on and my laptop open is not a good way to research podcast episodes?
Probably, depending on how long you want it to take. If you want to study more efficiently, faster, and just perform better, put your phone on Do Not Disturb. Go into your other room.
Shut the laptop.
And also look at your calendar in the morning and say, what am I going to get done today? Awesome. Simple strategies lead to a huge result.
And again, like I think that these are the things that in the back of your mind, we kind of go, duh.
Yeah.
But having these validated studies, 20,000 high school students.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you do this unless you just want to shoot yourself in the foot and make life harder?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What else you got?
Great. So now we have number 6. This is a really interesting study that once you hear it, you're going to resonate with this in your own life. And it's about smell and food, recalling a memory instantly when you smell something that brings you back to an old time and place.
Okay.
So this is a study out of Lancaster University in the UK, brand new study, where they actually asked older people who at this point in their life, maybe they're not having as many exciting new experiences, for a really amazing memory of their past. And they created something for them to smell and taste that took them back to a big moment. They actually 3D printed these tastes and smells on like a little Listerine strip type thing. So crazy research.
Like the taste of your favorite ice cream treat from a vendor. I'm
thinking
at your
about wedding,
like,
the one couple, it was the food at their wedding. They were able to taste it. Or someone who had a curry tasting one, they took them back to that memory. Strawberries from a day when they were young. And instantly, people were vividly transported back to this memory. Instantly.
Wow.
And the researchers say this is a very powerful implication for creating happiness hacks. If you knew that in the past you had the best vacation, the best memory, you can instantly access that deep memory by smelling that smell, having that food.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
My wheels are spinning because I'm thinking about my friend Pete Sheehan, who made me a cup of tea once.
Mm-hmm.
And he was very particular about how he made it because he said only his mother has ever been able to make tea that tastes as good as this certain way.
Yeah.
And what I bet it brings him back to his childhood.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting about this, because this research that you're talking about in terms of how taste and smell cues memory, this is specifically applied to very positive memories.
Very positive, yes.
And it's really kind of cool when you stop and think about the fact that you can, as you said, hack happiness by bringing very positive memories. I remember a really interesting story that has always stuck with me because we know that this is true based on trauma research.
Mm-hmm.
That smell in particular can trigger a trauma response. And I believe it was in the book about trauma that was written, by a PhD medical doctor talking about how trauma can immediately bring you back to that just terrible thing that happened. Mm-hmm. And so the researcher or the psychiatrist was talking about how he was treating a high school student who had severe abuse. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, this kid had gone from being like a really great student and doing well in class to almost flunking out of this math class and being really disruptive in this math class. And it was very uncharacteristic of this kid to act this way, particularly in the math class. And so the therapist leaned in to try to figure out what the heck was going on. And what he discovered was this, that the math teacher had recently switched his cologne. Wow. And he was wearing cologne that was the same cologne that this kid's abuser had worn.
Wow.
And so just the math teacher coming up behind him, and the smell of that would trigger all of the trauma, which of course made him agitated and untrusting and not able to pay attention. The therapist got the math teacher to stop wearing the cologne. Issue gone.
Wow.
And so we know based on research that this is true around trauma and negative experiences. I think it's really, really encouraging to hear that smell conjures up positive experiences. In fact, I'm thinking about the fact that my grandmother used to wear a particular perfume. My father used to wear a particular cologne. And whenever I smell it or smell traces of it, I immediately remember them.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so cool. Didn't you have a friend that did this with her wedding?
Yeah, definitely.
Intentionally? What happened?
Yeah. So I'm going to be getting married this year, and I was talking to someone who just recently had their wedding, and I asked if she had any advice for me. Mm-hmm. And she said something that I have never heard before. She said, figure out what your smell is going to be at the altar of your wedding ceremony, because that is a smell that for the rest of your life can transport you back to that moment. She said she picked out a very specific flower, one of her favorites with her favorite smell, and did a massive arrangement right where she was going to be standing at the altar during her wedding ceremony. And she even sprayed a smell there, so that she said for the rest of her life, she can instantly transport into that memory. And she said to me, I highly recommend more than anything else that you do that. And even not just for weddings, for any big moment of your life where you know that you're going to want to look back at this forever, create a signature scent. Know what your smell is going to be, and you will go back to that forever.
Speaking of smell, my cat Noodle just walked in.
Noodle has been giving his signature scent to all of your rugs lately.
Yes, he's been really naughty. We've got this new puppy, as you may know, and so he has got a signature scent that he sprays around. All right. I that's interesting because you think about marking rituals with a certain
Yeah.
cake or a certain this or a champagne, but getting intentional around the type of flower or the perfume that you wear
Yeah.
or those sorts of things, that's super cool.
Yeah, definitely. And you can apply that right now about things going forward or about any positive memory that you want to remember.
Okay, cool. What else?
Okay, great. So we're getting near the end of these new studies. This one I thought was so much fun. It's a study from Indiana University, the University of Connecticut, and Duke. And here's what it's about. It's about those mundane secrets that we hide from the closest people in our life. And that means, here's what the researchers define mundane secrets as: hiding small online purchases, foods that you don't want your partner or friends to know that you eat, or things like watching a TV show ahead of your partner when you guys are doing it together and they don't know that you're sneaking ahead.
And then you sit there and pretend that you haven't when you watch the episode.
The researchers
I can't do that. I can sneak ahead, but when the episode comes on, I can no longer sit there and pretend that I haven't seen it. That's the part where the gig is up for me.
So the researchers found that 90% of people have recently kept one of these everyday consumer behaviors a secret from a very close person in their life, a friend or their partner. And they report, you know what, my partner probably wouldn't care if they knew I watched ahead or I snuck a piece of cake, but they keep it a secret. 90% of us have these tiny little guilty secrets.
Now, is this something we should do? Because everything that you've recommended so far is additive.
Yeah.
So, yes, I am guilty of watching a show ahead and not telling Chris, but I always confess when we're sitting there. But they also did. Go ahead.
Well, what's interesting is they actually found this is not a bad thing. It is okay to have your little guilty pleasures. You can hide little things from your partner. This is not about being dishonest. Listen to this. Tiny feelings of guilt, which don't hurt anybody, actually drives you to want to be better to your partner.
Well, that makes sense because guilt has two forms: destructive, which is the guilt that you use against yourself, where you just beat yourself up and make yourself feel bad. And then the guilt that is really productive because it motivates you to want to do better. And so are you saying that if, let's say, I'm trying to think of an example.
I can give you an example that the study researchers found very common.
Okay.
What they found common is usually both partners do the same secret behavior and they hide it from the other. And a very common one is around diet.
Okay.
Like both partners are vegetarians when they're together and they secretly eat meat, not together.
What?
They said this little secret might propel both partners to try to show up in a bigger way because they feel bad about this when they're both doing it most of the time. Watching a show ahead, Chris might be doing the same thing. It's very common that both people do this and kind of propels you guys to show up and invest more. And maybe it's not the worst thing in the world.
Wow. Okay, so what's the takeaway? Don't feel guilty?
The first takeaway is if you, like 90% of people, have made an impulsive online purchase that your partner doesn't know about, or you snuck a piece of cake, or you're watching ahead on the TV show, first off, don't beat yourself up about it because the research shows they are probably doing it too. Like your partner's probably doing this.
That is killer.
Yeah.
Like, so don't feel bad about that Amazon box showing up and you quickly sneaking it into the back of your closet so that nobody knows that you, yet again, ordered another pair of pants.
Yes. And this is not about betrayal. This is not about shopping addiction. This is about, they're calling it mundane things that do not affect your partner. It does not affect your partner that you went and had the extra piece of cake or that you went and ordered another t-shirt for yourself.
Or ate the gluten amazing bread at the dinner with your friends, but came home and ate the cardboard bread that was there.
Yeah. And I think also, as we go into the new year, a lot of people might do challenges with others. I know you've talked about taking on a big fitness challenge with Chris. And there might be times when you slip up and don't want to say, and that is okay, is what the researchers are saying. As long as it doesn't hurt anyone, it could be okay.
It sounds like it's more than okay. It sounds like it amplifies you wanting to show up. This is so cool.
Yeah.
So far we've covered 7 things. How important it is to add random acts of kindness, even just smiling at people, complimenting their nails, telling people that you appreciate them. Here's another one.
Yeah.
If I ever see somebody cleaning a public bathroom, I always stop and look in the eye and say, thank you so much for taking care of us.
That's great.
And most people are floored.
Yeah.
I love passive exercise.
Sit down slowly in that chair once
Remember,
per day.
everybody, we can
per day.
Literally, I'm doing it now. It's a squat. That's what it is. You are going to get an inch above the chair and hold it for 3 seconds.
Yes.
That's a legit squat is what I'm doing because my quads are fully engaged. Okay.
Sit
there,
on
just
down.
sat down because now you can hear my voice shift because I'm not efforting anymore.
That is backed by researchers from Australia, Japan, and Brazil. Just sit down slowly in your chair once a day.
Yeah, don't lift the weights, everybody. Slowly lower them and you will be ripped. Birds. Birds are something we're going to add in. Who knew? I love this.
Listen to a bird sound for up to 8 hours of just a better day.
Well, you're not saying listen to birds for 8 hours.
No.
You're saying if you just listen to birds chirping for a second or two.
Yeah. 8 hours of benefits.
What? Okay.
And then the fourth one is the mindfulness practice. That study out of Georgetown around bringing in some mindfulness into your day, like a gratitude journal, can cause as much reduction in anxiety as taking an antidepressant.
And we just did this episode right before this one?
Yeah, last week.
Oh, on Monday.
Last Monday.
Oh, a week ago.
Yeah.
We did this episode about doing nothing. And in it, I recommended that we set an alarm in our smartphones for 2:13 with a little note that says, stop, take a breath, do nothing. I even had a little song that I play when it happens. And that's an act of mindfulness. And one other thing that comes to mind, I know in Tim Ferriss's big book, Tools of Titans, he crunched the data on 250 interviews that he had done with like billionaires and world changers. And every single one of them had one habit that they all shared, right?
Yeah.
And it was a mindfulness practice.
Yeah.
So I know you know this, but when you start to understand how compelling the research is, not only about how it changes the neural pathways in your brain, makes you a more positive and calm person, but to also know that in research studies, it has the same effect of dropping anxiety by 30% as prescription medication. That's worth paying attention to.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And then our study number 5 was do not rely on willpower for success, for accomplishment, and for getting important work done. Go on Do Not Disturb. Help someone have you stay accountable. Go into a quiet room, just like those students who succeeded on the SATs did.
Awesome. Schedule in success. Don't just muscle through it.
Yeah.
What else we got? Oh, smell. I like this one.
Yeah.
Think about putting more positive smell associations into your life, whether it's bringing positive memories to mind or it is creating positive experiences by getting intentional about the smell. I love this.
Yeah, definitely. And then we had our one sneaky TV show watching, sneaky meat eating.
So just giggle about it. Stop making yourself feel bad.
Stop making yourself bad because everyone else is doing it too.
And there's one final change.
Yeah. So this piece of research is something that researchers actually show is the easiest habit to make the largest impact in your life.
And what is it? You can tell them what it is.
It's being kind to yourself.
This is so profound that I want to dedicate the next episode to just the research on how to be kinder to yourself, because this recent study I know, and the irony is of all the things that you could change in the coming year, the research is conclusive that learning how to be kind to yourself as a daily practice has the single biggest impact on your happiness, on your meaning, on your sense of purpose. And the sad thing is, it is the one we practice the least.
Yeah.
And this is so important that the very next episode that we drop on the Mel Robbins podcast is going to go deep on the topic of being kinder to yourself, how to make it a habit, why it matters. And we are also going to do a bonus episode with it where we're going to take people's questions about it. Because yes, let's squat down on the chair. Let's listen to the birds. Let's structure our study time. Let's get the smells going, people. Let's be mindful. Let's, what were the other one? What was the first one we did? See, I've already forgotten.
The first one we did is around the random
kindness.
act of kindness.
Amped up the kindness. Let's go. And kindness towards self is the biggest thing you should do, which is why we're going to talk about it in the next episode. And I want to tell you a quick story about how perspective changing things can be. And then we're going to hear your story, Amy. So I remember when I was in law school, right?
Yeah.
I grew up in a teeny tiny town in Michigan. And then I go to college in a teeny tiny town in New Hampshire.
Okay.
And I was sort of like your meat and potatoes kind of gal. I was not the biggest experimental eater like I am now. And I remember one of my really good friends, shout out to Sydney, she was a super cool lady and she grew up in Providence, Rhode Island, and she was multicultural family, like super cool. And I remember she invited me to leave the campus, the law school campus, and go into Boston
Okay.
to this restaurant called Jay's. And her boyfriend, who was older, was going to take the two, law school students with no money out. And it was a Thai restaurant. And I had never been in a Thai restaurant before. And so we sit down. I had no idea what to order. And so they just order the pad Thai. When this thing arrived in front of my, plate there, when this
What
plate
did you think when you saw that pad Thai that you'd never seen before?
I was like, what the hell is the eggs and chicken and shrimp and these noodles? And it's like pasty, tacky, weird texture and peanuts and bean sprouts. So I just shoveled a fork in and I just took a bite. It was like a unicorn in my mouth. It was the most delicious thing I had ever. And I had this thought, there is an entire world I have been missing out on because I just didn't know. I just didn't know.
Yes.
And that is what this conversation's about. It's like a pad Thai for your career. There is a whole world that you have not considered as seriously as I want you to because you just didn't know. Like I didn't know you could make money online. Amy's the kind of person that knows how to tap into that confidence that is inside you to make a pivot. And I know that reinvention is a hot topic. Our project on Audible, Reinvent Your Life with Mel Robbins, is #1 on Audible. Everybody is feeling this need to change something about their lives. And when you take your career and your ability to make money into an entirely different level, it's extraordinary how that impacts your life. And Amy has been able to not only teach herself how to do that, but to teach so many other people how to do that, how to find financial freedom, how to get control of your time, how to create a life where you get to work when and where and with whomever you want to work. And do not tune this out. This is possible for you. I don't care what your life looks like right now. This is possible for you. And that's why I wanted Amy to sit here and give you a zero-cost masterclass in thinking differently and taking control of your freaking life starting today. So Amy, what was your pad Thai moment in your career?
My pad Thai moment was 14 years ago. I was working for peak performance coach Tony Robbins, and I had an amazing job. I was the director of content, traveling the world, working on the content that he did on stage. However, I didn't realize in that moment that I had never been free. And here's what happened. Tony brought in a bunch of business owners to the San Diego office. They happened to be all men, and they were making money online. And so he brought them into this office. It was this big oak table, and I was called in to take notes. So
okay. So first of all, were you annoyed by that?
Well, it was kind of common for the content department to take notes. But yeah, there's a little bit of me like, I want to be in the action. I want to be doing the things. But yeah, I was on a side table.
Oh, so you were not even at the big table with the boys.
No.
You were on the side,
I was on the side
taking the notes.
Yes.
Okay.
So here I came into this meeting, but thank God I did, because here's what happened. I started to take notes, and these guys started to talk about their businesses, what they do, what life looks like, what their lifestyle is, what their family life looks like. Like, they were really talking about their whole experience as business owners. And all of a sudden I realized, wait a second, they're working when they want, where they want, how they want. They're creating these amazing products. They're being as creative as they want to be. They're on their own time and on their own dime. And I realized I have never been free. I have never been my own boss. I will always hit a glass ceiling. I will always have to ask for a raise, always have to ask if I could take vacation. I was not the boss of my own life or my business. And in that moment, a light bulb went off and I thought, I want it. I have no idea what they're doing. I don't know how to do any of it, but I want it. And so that was the moment for me. But the next thing that happened was this flood of doubt. And I looked to my friend who was in the meeting with me and I said, I have no skill where I could be my own boss. I know nothing that I could be my own boss.
I want to stop right there because I think this moment where you're sitting in a meeting and you experience something.
Yeah.
This like wake up call happens in your body. And I've had a moment like that. It's way bigger than a pad thai moment.
Yeah.
I was sitting in an audience and I was at an Oprah Winfrey, like kind of one of these live your best life tours. This would have been a decade ago, decades ago, actually, probably 2 decades ago at this point. And I was there because I was networking to try to get clients for my life coaching business. I had just started this on the side. I was working full time. Doing business development for a advertising agency in the big tech kind of bubble that happened in the early 2000 timeframe. And on the side, I was trying to build a business as a life coach, full of doubt. So I go to this Oprah Winfrey concert. It was actually it was like an event that she held, a one-day summit to like live your best life. And so I'm sitting in the big audience. And Oprah's on stage, and then she introduces this woman that I'd never heard of. Her name was Martha Beck. And Martha Beck walks out. And I don't even remember what the hell she said. I had never heard of her. I had no clue what she did. But she started talking, and there was something inside of me that was like, I want that. And it was the same thing you're talking about, which is this taste of I've never thought about the word free, because there I had lied to my employer. I had taken the day and I had told them I was somewhere else and I had gone to this thing for myself.
Yeah.
And so here I am completely out of integrity, getting paid by somebody else to sit in a place where I'm prospecting for my side hustle that hasn't even launched yet. And I realized when she walks on the stage, holy shit, that's what I want. And I didn't even know what that meant. I just knew that I wanted the freedom that she seemed to have. She was writing books. She was clearly writing for Oprah. She had written her first book. She was now talking about that first book on a stage. I didn't know what I would write about. I didn't know what I would speak about. I was scared to think about being on that stage. That is the moment. And so I want to hit pause and I want to talk to the person, you, right now listening to us. I want to talk to you because I need you to start to pay attention to those moments. You don't have to have the answers to change your life. You have to have that moment where you go, I want something more for myself. And what I wanted to be able to go to an event without lying to my boss. Well, I could have just not lied, but you know what I mean. I wanted to be able to go to an event because I was going to go to an event. I wanted to be able to work when I wanted to work, but I did not know how the hell do you go from that moment to knowing what the hell the right next step is? Because you're right. What happens next is, well, you're dumb. You got nothing to offer. You're this, you're that. Like, how did you go from, okay, there's all these dudes sitting around the table. I'm basically the secretary, no offense to secretaries, in the corner. And right. I am sitting here being exposed to something that I'm not part of this club.
Yes. So the first thing, all those doubts came rushing in. And then I learned something a long time ago that if you're watching someone do something and you feel a little bit jealous, like, look what they have, or angst around it, which I had, like, I wanted what they had, even though I didn't totally get it. whenever you have a feeling of jealousy or angst or you want it, ask yourself, what do they have that you want? Like, get really clear. What is it about their life that you think is so attractive or you'd like to go through it? Because I had to get clear about what I wanted. And in that moment, I thought, they get to be their own boss. Like, that's what they have that I have never had. So I think clarity in terms of what you want is the first big step. You talk about that a lot. What do you want? And so once I got clear on, I don't want a job anymore, I want to call the shots, then I had to start thinking, what would I do? Because I had no clue. So for the next few months, I kind of went through this process that now I teach called the sweet spot, which is figuring out what might you want to do.
Wow. What do you really want? That's a huge question. And I want you to contemplate that. What do you really want?
And here's the secret. You start with the life you want. So when I teach people how to go out and build their own business, I always say, first of all, let's talk about what lifestyle you want. Because when I was in my 9-to-5 job, one night I was rushing home to make dinner on time. I wanted to be home with my family, to sit at the table and have dinner, and I was running late. I stayed in a meeting late. I had some things to get done. It was now like 6:30. I knew it was going to be too late, but I was bound and determined to get home. So I was racing to get home and got pulled over. And this female cop came up to my car, and already I felt flush in the face. Like, I was just so upset. Now I'm getting pulled over. And she says, ma'am, why are you driving so fast? And I looked at her and I said, I'm trying to get home to dinner with my family because I haven't been home all week and I don't want to miss another chance to be with my family. And she said, go. Just go. And it's like she understood that when you are in a 9-to-5 job that you no longer want, everything else seems to fall by the wayside. Like, you're not living the life that you want. So that was just one moment. Like, I wanted to be home with my family. I wanted to actually make more money so I could invest in things that I wanted to invest in. There was so much that I didn't have that I wanted that I kind of just started there. So you got to just ask yourself what kind of lifestyle you want and then build your career around that.
Well, I think a lot of people got a huge wake-up call these past 3 years.
Yes.
If the pandemic did nothing else, it certainly made you reflect on your values. It made you reflect on where you wanted to live. It made you reflect on what was important to you. And this mindless chasing of more, it became very clear for a lot of us that that is not the lifestyle that we want. You had a huge move. I had a huge move, all beginning with the question, what do I actually want my life to look like?
Yes.
All right. Well, I want you to pause right there because we're going to take a word from our sponsors. But when we come back, we're going to take a few more questions from listeners, and we're going to continue to hold your hand and walk you step by step through this process of starting to embrace the wake-up call, ask these big questions, and get freaking serious about your ability of making it happen. Welcome back. It's your friend Mel Robbins. I am here with Amy Porterfield, and we're asking the big questions today of you. What do you want your life to look like? How nice would it be if you had freedom? You were free to work when you wanted, where you wanted, that you took the time to design your life to work for you. And for those of you that have never thought about this before, you always thought, okay, I just got to get a job. I got to get a job. We're unpacking a concept called unbossing yourself, because I personally believe this is all mindset. It's all mindset. And you've got 2 strategies to unboss yourself. But before we get to those, I want to go back to the story. Because you had this wake-up call. You're like, whatever these dudes are doing to make money online, I'm figuring this out.
Yeah.
Because I am not free if I work for somebody else. And I really see and have a taste of what they have. And now I want to figure it out. And so takeaway number 1, everybody, pay attention to the wake-up call. Takeaway number 2, yes, you can sort this stuff out. And takeaway number 3 is, what did you do next?
So that's when I started to think, what could I possibly do? How do I need to unboss myself? How do I need to think in order to step into what I want?
Got it.
So I really did start with my mindset. So this concept of unbossing, really understanding that you could lead yourself and you do not need anybody else to tell you what to do, make the decisions for you, or lead you. So once you start to think, okay, how can I lead myself? I had to take some steps to get me there. The first thing was, again, I talked about what do I want? And I went on social media and started following a bunch of people that had the kind of businesses that I wanted. Total immersion. I wanted, and you did an episode a while ago that you talked about when you, let's say, got a new car and you started to see that car everywhere.
Yes.
It's the same concept. When I decided I wanted to start my own business, I started to see bosses everywhere doing what I wanted, but I was intentional about it and I cleaned up my social media.
Okay, so takeaway number 1.
Yeah.
You have this wake-up call. What do you want your life to look like? Get serious about curating your social media right now so that you are immersed in the world that you want to step into. That is step 1. That is what a leader does. That's what you're going to do. We all have boards of advisors. We all call experts. Like I call Amy on speed dial when I need help with marketing. You're going to do social media and you're going to use social media in a very intentional way to start to create that community and that mindset around you. What's the second thing you can do to change your mindset and unboss yourself?
Start asking for advice.
Okay.
Find the people who are doing what you want and find out how they did it. And I actually have a great story about this. Okay. So when I was still at Tony Robbins, I knew I wanted to create courses and help people do their marketing and build businesses down the road. I wasn't ready for it yet, but I knew I wanted that kind of business. So I went online and I found a bunch of people doing what I wanted. And there was this one woman who absolutely had the kind of business I wanted. I did not know her at all, but I watched her online and I thought, that's the kind of business I want. So I went to her contact page on her website, wrote her a little email and said, listen, I know you don't offer this, but can I pay you for an hour of your time? I just want to ask you all about how you built your business. I'm new to all of this. I don't even know where to start. Will you share some insight with me if I pay you? And she said, yes.
Wow.
Yep. So you got to ask.
You got to ask. And here's another way you can do it because you're probably sitting there. Notice you have a employee mindset.
Yes.
We're like, but I don't have any money to pay. Amy's got money because she works for Tony Robbins.
No. That is not the mindset. You are not a loser. You're a winner. All of these people that you follow have likely done a podcast interview or a YouTube video, or they've written a blog post.
Yes.
And all the advice is in there. And another way that you can get people to respond to you is you can present them with some challenge that you're facing and say, could you give me, like, I need some help making a decision. I'm facing this challenge. Here are 2 or 3 things that I'm thinking about doing. Which would you advise? Because then you've done the work. You've thought like a boss. You haven't come to somebody to solve your problems. So that's another way that even if you're working for somebody else, unbossing yourself is a mentality. Don't expect your boss to solve your problems. It's not their job to solve your problems. It's your job to come up with the solutions to recommend for the problems that you're facing in whatever your role is. And so that's a way that you can take this philosophy into your current job while you figure out what you want to do.
Yes.
So you stuck with this job and you chipped away at the job while you changed social media.
Yes.
And you started asking people for advice. You started chipping away at learning things. What else did you do in order to kind of step by step march toward building something you had no freaking skill or experience to do?
Yes, I had to get unreasonable. And by the word unreasonable, I mean, I had to start thinking in ways that I had never done before. And so, like with the call with that woman that said yes, like I was still at my office. I had to crawl under my desk because the walls were thin. I didn't want anyone to hear me at my lunch hour. I'm whispering to her on the phone, like, how did you build your business? What did you do? And she's whispering back to me. And I'm sure she thinks that's weird that we're whispering, but I needed to make it happen. So I had to start putting myself in places that I was way out of my element because I wanted something bigger than my life at the moment.
Now, how do you keep that present? Because I think this is what separates people in life.
Yes.
We all want it. Who doesn't want to make $1 million? Who doesn't want freedom? Who doesn't want, to figure out how to make money online and check their balances while they're sitting on the toilet? I mean, who doesn't want to make money while they're sleeping? But what separates those of us who do and anybody who doesn't is literally the action. That's
exactly.
it. That is it. Like if you're willing to go one step further than the person that just quit, You, my friend, have the secret formula. There is no fucking secret formula.
Yes.
You have to stop listening to the bullshit that is stopping you from taking action. I mean, this woman is sitting under her desk. I'm literally at an event I'm not supposed to be at because we wanted something more for ourselves. What did you do to keep that freedom, which is this big ass word? What did you do to keep that front and center other than having your social media feeds reminding you that this is the world you wanted to step into? It's sort of like a kid who decides, okay, I'm going to go to a college. I'm going to go to this college. And they're really into, the first one that popped into mind is Michigan. I'm from Michigan. Everybody loves either Michigan State or Big Blue. And so kids would wear the sweatshirts and they'd look at the school and they'd follow people and they'd buy the swag and they'd been wearing it all over. And so they're like immersing themselves in this world before they're there. How the hell do you do this for yourself?
Yes.
When it's about a side hustle or who you want to become, because you're talking like recreate your whole damn life. Like stop getting a job and get serious about what you want your life to look like.
So I started to change my identity. I'm going to be a business owner. I'm going to be a boss. What do bosses do? They listen to podcasts about building businesses. They buy the books about how to change your mindset, how to start a business, how to get things going. They buy the digital courses. I'd never bought a digital course in my life. I bought my first digital course while I was still at my 9-to-5 job. It was all about how to do video marketing. I had no idea how to make a video.
Oh, can I give everybody a pro tip?
Yes.
A lot of companies, as a perk, give a login to Masterclass and some of these
There you
other
go.
places. And so
Yes.
you can be...
Use it.
Yeah, there is so much free education. You're hearing Amy go buy. Khan Academy, YouTube, all this stuff is free, everybody.
That's so
you
true.
got to be willing to look for it. If you've gotten laid off, the Harvard Extension School has free resume templates if you're willing to freaking Google it. So, we have to get out of this mode of stuff's being done to you and, damn that job and I'm embarrassed. Bullshit. That job was not a fit. And you want why? You want to know why it wasn't a fit? Because you got fired. Because you got laid off. And yes, it sucks. But you get to decide now what it means. Are you going to pivot? And are you going to take this as a wake-up call? Or are you going to sit there and feel sorry for yourself?
It's so true. So yes, get resourceful. You don't have to pay for any of this. There's tons of free resources out there, even more so now than there were when I even left. But I started to, again, total immersion, fuel my mind with the right things. But here's another thing I did. I started a side hustle. And I think this is an important conversation for people right now. If you're afraid of getting fired, laid off, or you're just not making enough money, a lot of people listening, they think they're staying in their 9-to-5 job, but they know they're not getting paid enough. They know they're undervalued. So the best next thing you can do is start your own thing in the mornings, nights, weekends to bring in a little extra money. Let me tell you about a student of mine.
Give me
some
examples.
So one of my students, her name was Rachel. She was a pharmacist, and she did this job as a pharmacist because her parents wanted her to have that job. It looked good. It sounded good. And here she is as a pharmacist during COVID and hates every minute of it. Like her life was miserable, what she went through. And so on the side, she decided, I'm going to learn how to buy real estate. She didn't have a lot of money, but she said, I'm going to learn how to just buy a little bit of real estate and turn it into an Airbnb and see if I can make a little extra money doing that. So she researched, she started saving, she bought her first piece of real estate, and it did really well. And she told her husband, one day I want this to be my full-time thing. And he laughed at her like, no, you're a pharmacist. You're not going to do that. But she kept at it and she kept at it. She made $300,000 last year when she figured out how to get this real estate and get the money to invest and all of that, quit her pharmacy job and never has looked back.
So is this somebody with a trust fund?
No, not at all. Like this woman was scrappy. Let me tell you another story of someone who didn't have a lot of money. Okay. Because I know some people.
Because most people don't have a lot of money. Like most people are paycheck to paycheck. Most people are like, that sounds great, but I got no money for a course. I'm definitely going to pick up the book 2 weeks notice that you just wrote, Amy, for the step-by-step guide, but I don't have buy real estate. What are you talking about?
Okay. Let me give you a better one. So this one is from my student, Tara, and she was an accountant for 15 years in a very small town. And she's a single mom. And she said, I need a raise. I'm not making enough money. She went to the company and said, I'd like a raise. And they looked at her with blank stares. Like, That's not even in your future at all. And she realized, I've got to do something. So she was really good at making wreaths. She made these beautiful wreaths.
Wreaths?
Yes.
Like you mean those round things that we
Yes.
hang on our doors?
Yes, she
Okay,
made
so she's really good at
beautiful
wreaths. So I want to go back to something. Remember how Amy said you got to go through the sweet spot exercise. By the way, tons of resources linked all in the show notes on every single platform.
Yes.
But I want you to hear this. This is a person who has been told by people forever that she does a good job making wreaths.
Yes.
I know what you're thinking, everybody. You're thinking, Mel, I have a mortgage to pay. Mel, I have student debt. Mel, I am not starting a fucking business making wreaths because I will not be able to pay my bills doing this. Here's what I want to tell you. You have no clue what you're capable of. But what you're capable of right now is shooting down every single idea. You're putting all your energy into coming up with reasons for why not, why it's stupid, why you can't. What if you put half the amount of energy into why the fuck not?
Yeah.
Why not make wreaths? Why not see where this goes? Why not, instead of flopping down in front of Netflix tonight because my soul is sucked dry from my job search or my job that I go to or worrying about why not invest that same time that I procrastinate at night into creating a little bit of a side hustle, tasting a little bit of freedom,
Yes.
saying yes in a little way. Why not?
Just a starter idea.
That's all she had. That's all she had.
Yes. So she wasn't saying, I'm going to quit my job tomorrow because I'm making wreaths. She just thought, I got to bring in some extra money. I better get scrappy.
Yes.
So she started making these wreaths, selling them on Etsy, and she was doing really well, bringing in like $1,000 a month extra.
That's pretty good.
Right?
That's
So-
like take the kids to Disney money.
Exactly.
That's pay the bills
So
money.
she's like feeling a little bit. That's another thing. You start to feel a little confident when you start to take some action and get some clarity, like this is actually working. So what happened was her friends started seeing her make money on Etsy, and they were making crafts and they weren't making any money on Etsy. And they said, teach us how you're doing that. That's what I want to know. And that's where it started to click for her. Her starter idea was not going to pay the bills. However, she took action, got some clarity, started to listen to what people were saying, and they said, teach us how you're doing that. So she created a little mini course teaching other people how to put their crafts online and make money with Etsy. $100,000 later, this woman never in a million years thought she'd make $100,000 teaching other women how to put their crafts on Etsy.
So how long of a period of time from the idea of, I could, because first it becomes, I want everybody to pay attention because I'm trying to open your eyes to the fact that your whole life can change because of one wake-up moment and the willingness to lean into something that you naturally do well or you're naturally interested in. I'm going to put an example into this in just a minute. But this willingness to lean into what you're naturally good at and other people compliment you on. I've never thought about it this way. Not so that it pays your mortgage, but so that it gives you a taste of freedom. And it taps into this power and resourcefulness and moxie that is inside you.
Yes.
Because when you start feeling that, you'll start thinking even bigger. And so, I'm thinking about this because, and I'm going to offer up an example, because it literally could be anything. I think about my daughter, Sawyer, who constantly is complimented for her interior decorating style and skills. No training. And I keep thinking to myself, boy, she could do a whole Instagram strategy of designing on a budget. She could do a whole thing about how you design a killer dorm room for X number of dollars, or how you design your first apartment. I'm thinking about another kid. I have a neighbor whose son, senior year of high school, no joke, made almost $30,000. You want to know how?
How?
I'll tell you how. He saw one video. He Googled how to make money online. One video of this business where you advertise a service of picking up people's stuff, like couches they don't want, and then you list it for sale on Facebook Marketplace and you deliver it to somebody else.
Brilliant.
Brilliant.
And scrappy. I like scrappy ideas.
And so I'm not suggesting you'll make millions. Maybe you will, because maybe you'll turn it into a junk removal business. Maybe you'll turn it into something else, but you are limiting what's possible because you won't even lean into something like the wreath idea or the idea of starting an Instagram account that is about decorating on a budget, because you tell yourself it's not possible. I can't do it. Somebody else has already done it. Do you have another example of somebody who just like was either really old or really young that did this?
Yes, I have a great story. One of my favorite students, her name is Anne. And Anne worked in corporate at Gap and Old Navy. She was in her 50s at the time and she got laid off, which tends to be a theme we're hearing a lot. So she's laid off and she thinks, okay, well, I've been in this business for a while. I'm going to dust off my resume, get it back out there. So she did. Months and months and months, couldn't even get an interview.
Oh.
And I hate to say this, but I think it was her age.
Probably.
Right? People are hiring younger, so they're just looking over her and all of her experience that she had. And so one day her husband said, you've got all of these different crafts up in our attic. You love to do these. Why don't you just play around there for a while, see if it sparks anything? And so she didn't have any other option at the time. So she started to kind of get in there. And she does this one thing really well: surface pattern design.
What the hell is that?
Right. I'm not crafty at all. So I really had to kind of dig in to understand it. Basically, it's this idea of drawing your own doodles and different graphics on, let's say, through a software, and turning those drawings of yours into wallpaper, into wrapping paper,
What?
into mugs,
This is a
into
business?
journals. Yes.
Okay.
And so she did this really well. And yet again, people started to say, how are you doing that? That's why when you think of the sweet spot formula, the first thing you do is pay attention to what people think you're good at, because it's just a natural thing. They're interested. And so she did it well. Other people wanted to know how she did it. So she started to teach them how she did it. Now, this woman went from literally not getting anyone that wanted to hire her, not even getting interviews,
Wow.
to doing launches of this new program she created, $100,000 launches over and over again. But I want to point out, she's in her 60s.
Wait, okay.
Yes.
You buried the lead,
Yes.
Amy.
She's in her 60s. Didn't know how to run a business, didn't know how to do technology, didn't know how to put up a website, didn't know how to do a webinar. She knew none of it. But what she did know is she wanted a different kind of life, and she got honest with herself. I don't want to be begging for a job. They think I'm too old. Watch me.
Ooh, I
And
love
that's
that.
what
Watch
I
me.
want. Yeah.
Watch me do this damn thing. I cannot wait to send this episode to my kids. Can you tell me about someone on the younger side
Yes.
that went from nothing, telling themselves, no skills, too young, I can't do this, missed the boat, there's already too many people doing fitness online or whatever the hell it is that you want to do, too many interior designers, no room for me. Tell me about somebody on the younger end of the scale.
I will. And I want to say, if you're looking around and you think, I want to do this, and you see so many other people doing it,
Yes.
and they're doing it well.
Like podcasts with me.
Yes. The first thought is, there's no room for me.
Yes.
I can't do that. It's already
Yes.
been being done. First of all, there's over 8 billion people in this world. There's definitely an audience you can reach. But the second thing is, if it's being done and it's being done well, that means there's money to be made there.
Ooh.
Right? It's a validation. Look at it and think, oh, great. Mel's a great example that I can make money doing this. Let me try it as
Okay.
well.
Did you hear that, everybody?
It's important.
It's really important, because somebody else doing this is a validation that there is a business and money. And more importantly, people want this.
Yes.
They want this in their lives. And so I want to also say something. There are 8 billion people, Amy. And oftentimes the expert that my kids like let's just take online exercise classes.
Yes.
I feel demoralized when I'm looking at a 28-year-old's rear end as she's doing like the donkey kicks and
Amen,
the hydrant
sister.
thing. And I'm like, she hasn't had kids yet. I'm in menopause. I'm feeling like the stomach hanging down. This is not great. I want a different expert.
Yes.
I want what my daughters have in that market, but I want somebody that I feel represents me.
Yes.
And so you have a unique take on things. The 60-year-old woman that you talked about that launched her first online course, you know how empowering it is to see somebody teach you when you're in your 40s or 50s and they're older than you? Do you know how empowering it is when you see somebody that has your background, your religion, your skin color, your body type, your experience? You are most qualified to help the person you used to be.
Yes.
And you will most inspire the person who sees themselves in you and your story. And so there are people out there, like when I think about the podcast market and I saw there are 5 million podcasts on Spotify, 5 million alone. I'm like, it's already taken. What more, what could I possibly contribute? I know that's what everybody's thinking right now. It's already been done. Bullshit. You want to know why? It hasn't been done by you.
Amen. That's it. It hasn't been done by you. You have lived experiences that nobody else has, and you have stories and insights that you share that nobody else will. And you only need a sliver of the internet to pay attention. That's the wild thing here. You don't need 100,000 customers to make money. A sliver of the internet. You get 10 customers. Let's say this, Mel, when I teach people how to create side hustles, let's say you have a $100 program and just 10 people buy that. You've just made $1,000 that you did not have. 10 people, that's all you need. So when you start to think this is too big, I'm too overwhelmed, I don't know where to start, you start with your starter idea and you just get into action.
You know, I want to give a huge shout out to my kid's guitar instructor, Dave Wade. So Dave Wade, he has made a huge difference in our life. And he, you know, I was always barking about how he should do something more. He's a session musician, classical guitarist, plays on all these major stages, and he started a music school in Boston in the basement of a church, and it's slowly grown. And you know, by just paying attention to that wake-up call inside him, there's something more I could be doing. I could be reaching more kids. He figured out how to create an online course.
Yes.
And he launched it before COVID. So all of a sudden COVID hits, and he's done this thing simply as a side hustle to an existing business, a way to take something you're doing in real life and take that and put it online. And he was positioned for COVID. And now he does nothing but virtual lessons with students all over the world, and in person in Boston. But I mean, it just changed his life. Why? It's not because he's smarter than you. It's not because he has more skills than you. It's because he did one thing you're not doing. He's saying, what if it works out?
Yes.
What if I just take this kernel of an idea and I lean into it? And I don't do it overnight, but I start chipping away at it. Sure, look for a job. Sure, work on your resume. Don't forget the fact that 85% of jobs aren't even listed anywhere, and they're gotten by networking.
Yes.
So make sure you're out there talking to people. There's another free tip. So step one of manifesting properly, according to research and science. First, you have to tell the truth. You have to declare what you want, period. This does not work if you're lying to yourself. This does not work if you're fuzzy about what you want. And so Megan already did step one. She said, I want to move. She even told us that she'd been wanting to do this for a while. And the only thing that's been holding her back is all that negative programming in her mind. So now let's turn to you. Tell me the truth. What's something that you want? And don't be scared to say it out loud. Don't worry, I'm not moving in with you. But you have to tell the truth. That thing that you have an itch to do. That's what I'm talking about. And if you are so shut down that you don't even know what you would want to manifest, let's do the exercise that I have shared multiple times on the Mel Robbins podcast. Every single morning as part of your morning routine, I want you to just take out a piece of paper and write down 5 things that you want. And every morning as you do this, as you give yourself permission to want things, you're training your mind. You're getting in touch with your dreams and your goals. And if you're having trouble connecting with this, I have a free cheat sheet for you. Just go to melrobbins.com/dreambig. I walk you through it. You can download it for free. And you can also listen to the episode we just did on dreams. It's the one we released right before this one. But you have to be honest. You want to know why? Because you're training your brain, and your brain knows when you're bullshitting, especially when you're bullshitting yourself. You cannot half-ass this stuff. Just listen to this question from Rochelle.
My name is Rochelle. I am from Ontario, Canada, a small town north of Toronto. So, for 25 years, I've had a head full of ideas. I've had half assed projects and lots of plans. I chose always wishing over doing. Many of my blocks were due to fear, many just basic survival. The idea of goal setting, it really fires me up. The idea of remembering to revisit those goals, that freaks me out. I just think of all the things that I should have done and want to do still. That I've thought about over the last 25 years. What do you have a vision board for? That seems like, what are you, a child?
I love you guys so much. What do you have a vision board for? What are you, child? Rochelle, okay. So first of all, we love Rochelle. We love everybody. And what I love about her is she's admitting to you that she's been thinking about things that she's wanted for 25 years. And she's never getting past the thinking part. Why? Well, because again, the overwhelm, the self-doubt, all of the disorganization, it's stopping her. That's where manifesting comes in. And she asked the question, vision boards, what the hell, am I a child? Let me tell you why vision boards can be important with one huge caveat based on science. Vision boards are important because when you take the time to create a vision board, which is basically bringing your dream or your goal to life by creating a collage of images, what you're doing is you are grabbing that dream or that goal that typically we bounce around in the back of our minds in private. You're pulling it out of your mind and you are grounding it in reality. And one of the reasons why this can be so powerful is because it signals to your brain that this is really important to you. We've talked in previous episodes about the Zeigarnik effect. It creates this kind of to-do list in your mind. The other reason why it's important is because when you put a vision board in a place where you can see it, it keeps these goals and dreams front and center, which is really important. But here's the problem. Everybody puts the wrong shit on their vision boards. You've been sold a bill of goods. You have been told that if you simply create a collage of some beach house or your dream body or $1 million in the bank or a Maserati, that suddenly the universe is going to hand you those things. That's not how that works. What research shows is exactly what Rochelle is talking about. If all you ever do is think about the big thing, you think about the end goal, the beach house, the Maserati, the thing that's like 10 years from now, and then you create this beautiful collage of this amazing thing that you want, that's a huge mistake. And see, everybody makes this mistake. If you look at anybody's vision board, you know what's on it? It's beach houses and $1 million and a Maserati and the finishing line at the New York City Marathon and all the things that you hope and dream for. And the reason why that's a huge mistake is that if the only thing that is on your vision board is the thing that's going to take you 10 years to get done, as you sit here in your studio apartment or in the spare bedroom of your parents' house at a desk in the corner and you stare at a $10 million beach house, oh my God, that is going to feel so far away. It's going to feel like you might as well move to Mars, for crying out loud. Instead of that vision board keeping your dreams front and center, that vision board is rubbing them in your face. It's not motivating at all. Why? Because you start to become present day in and day out to how far away you are from that dream of yours. And that starts to make you feel less motivated. It doesn't surprise me at all that Rochelle has been thinking about all kinds of things for 25 years, and yet she can't get started. And the reason why is because she is making the mistake of visualizing the end. Manifesting is not just hoping and wishing, remember, for that beach house? Manifesting is training your mind, body, and spirit to do the work to make that beach house a reality. And step 2 to manifesting according to neuroscience. Visualize the steps along the way. This is research from UCLA. In order to make manifesting work for you according to science, don't visualize the end. Visualize the steps and the actions that you're going to take to get there. So what does that mean? That means all that hard and annoying and tedious stuff that you got to do that you don't feel like doing in order to make that thing a reality, that's what you're going to put on the vision board. That's what you're going to visualize. You see, according to the research from UCLA, brain scans show that when you visualize yourself performing an action, you stimulate the same brain region that you're using when you actually perform that action. So manifesting properly, according to science, means you are socializing your mind to take action. Now, what does socializing your mind mean? Because that's the language they used in the study. It means you're training your mind to take the action. By sitting there and mentally rehearsing this, you are telling your mind, you're stimulating the part of the brain that actually is going to take the action. This taps into something called procedural memory, and it helps you lock in the actions you need to take as a new habit. See, procedural memory is part of your long-term memory. It's like writing with your hands or pouring a glass of water. All those actions and habits, they're all stored in your procedural memory. Your procedural memory has all the information that you need in order to perform things like brushing your teeth or walking and talking. And when those things get rehearsed over and over and over again, guess what? They become encoded. They become automatic. The more you think about the steps you need to take and you start to visualize them, the stronger the connections become. And this isn't just like common sense. What happens when you visualize this way is that connections are being made between gaps in neurons. They're passing signals back and forth. And so before you even take the actions, you are now socializing your brain to get ready to do it. You're preparing. It's super cool. So let's just start with step 1, manifesting according to science. You got to claim what you want and tell the truth. So let's say that step 1, I want to train for and I want to complete the New York City Marathon. That is a bucket list item for me. And in fact, that was a bucket list item for me, and it's something that I've done, and you should do it too. It's amazing. And so, yes, you're going to wake up every day and you're going to write that dream down. But to achieve it, please do not spend any time visualizing crossing the finish line. Please do not spend any time thinking about the roaring applause of the crowd as your name gets announced. Instead, what are you going to do? You're going to use science because you're smart. You're going to visualize yourself lacing up your running shoes when it's 10 degrees outside. You're going to close your eyes and you're going to picture what it feels like to be out there on a training run alone. It's mile 13. You're on your own and your freaking earbuds just ran out of batteries and you're 6 miles from your house. And as you close your eyes and you picture that annoying and irritating moment, I want you to feel in your body the sensation of that moment. And I want you to feel in your body another one. How about this moment? It's 5 a.m. Your alarm goes off. You're exhausted. You look out the window and you see it's pouring rain. And it's a Saturday. And you said you do a training run. And I want you to see yourself dragging yourself out of bed, pulling on your jacket even though you don't feel like it, and walking out that door. And I want you to feel yourself starting to run in the rain, and it's 5:10 in the morning. That's how you manifest. Because here's the thing. That's what you're going to have to do in order to achieve your goal. And more importantly, 5 months from now, when you've registered for that race and that alarm goes off at 5 a.m. and you roll over in real life and you look out the window and it's pouring, you will have rehearsed this moment. So your brain and your nervous system and your body is going to be ready for it. You're going to roll out of bed because you've already been in this moment. You already have seen yourself there. You've already felt the resistance. You not only know exactly how this goes, you've rehearsed it in your mind, and you've now rewired your brain to be ready for it. That's why you can't half-ass this. You got to be dead serious about visualizing the steps you need to take. And so now that you got step 1, which is tell the truth about what you want, Get very clear about it. Step 2 is stop focusing on the end and start focusing on the irritating crap you're going to have to do day in, day out to march toward it. Now we're going to go from the kindergarten manifesting according to neuroscience to Olympic level manifesting. Are you ready? I'm ready. Because step 3 to properly manifest according to science, you got to feel that stuff in your body. I mean, really feel it. You got to feel what it's like to work for that dream. Now, this isn't just Mel Robbins, and this is not even neuroscientists anymore. We're now bringing in the Olympic athletes and all of their team of psychologists because they take manifesting to an even deeper level. When you're on the Olympic team, you call this imagery because it goes way beyond sort of the visualization. An Olympic aerial skier said, you have to smell it, you have to hear it, you have to feel it, you have to feel everything. And so that means as you are closing your eyes and as you are visualizing yourself doing the work, and for an Olympic skier, that means before you even get on that slope, you are imagining every twist, every turn, every bump, every jump. You are going over and over and over and over again, every twist and every turn. Because remember, according to the research at UCLA, your brain doesn't know the difference between something that happened to you for real and the things that you imagine happening to you. So you're warming yourself up to exactly what you'll feel as you're taking action. There's a huge article about this in the New York Times, and in it, bobsledder Lyndon Rush, who's an Olympic medalist, said, I've tried to keep the track in my mind throughout the year, he said. I'll be in the shower brushing my teeth. It just takes a minute. So I do the whole track, or sometimes just the corners that are more technical. You try to keep it fresh in your head, so when you do get there, you're not just starting at square one, and it's amazing how much you can do in your own mind. And in fact, one of the things that psychologists use this for with our Olympic team is helping athletes deal with the anxiety and resistance that comes up when they're about to go back into racing after an injury. And so this sort of imagery, this deep manifesting where you feel it. So what does that mean? You got to smell the air. You got to feel the wind. You got to really put yourself at the scene. You know, when I was a young trial lawyer, I used to work for the Legal Aid Society as a criminal defense attorney. And when I was being trained to do trial work, they used to say, when you're talking to a jury, you have to put people at the scene. You've got to describe something in a way that they could almost see, taste, or smell it. And that's what you need to do. And so here's what I want to do. I want to do this with you right now. And so we're going to use our friend Megan. Remember, she's the one that wants to move from Tampa. And I want to play a part of her clip where she talks about her fears. And as you're listening to our friend Megan, I want you to see what sensations come up in your body as you are listening to her describe all the resistance and fears that she has about this thing that she wants to do.
My biggest fear is just getting there and then being like, why did I do this? I'm alone. I have no family or friends here. Who knows when my family or friends are going to visit me, even if they will. Is this going to cost me a lot of money? And now I put myself in like a bad financial situation. What if I lose my job and I'm in a new city? What if I hate it?
You want to know what Megan's doing? She's manifesting. She is letting her fears rehearse the worst case scenario. She has trained her brain and her nervous system to be terrified of this move. She has a visualization, all right, that it's not going to work, that her parents are going to be mad, that it's a huge mistake, that she's going to lose her job, that no wonder she's not doing it. She's using manifesting in the exact opposite way. She is systematically, through her excuses and her fears and her parents' stuff, she is training her own mind to work against her. I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid of that. It's going to be like this. It's going to be like that. You could feel, couldn't you, When she said, what if I get there and I'm alone? What if I get there and it's the worst decision? I bet you felt your chest seize a little bit. When she said, what if I regret it? I bet you felt yourself shrink a little bit. See, her excuses have trained her mind and body to resist taking the action. You do the same thing. Every time you look at the thing that you want, that itch that you have, the dream that you have, the goal that you have, and you're like, but this, but that, but what about the other person? But you're visualizing all the negative. And this is why you're stopped. And so instead of mentally rehearsing your deepest fears, let's just flip this. Try visualizing it being great. I mean, instead of going, what if it doesn't work? What if it all works out? What if this is the best decision I've ever made in my entire life? Visualize saying goodbye to your parents and packing the U-Haul. Visualize yourself alone in the apartment. Go to that really scary moment where you're there alone and you feel yourself getting anxious. But then visualize yourself putting your shoes on, leaving the house, going to that event you signed up, even though you didn't feel like it, and bumping into somebody and making a new friend. Visualize your mom calling and saying, I miss you. I wish you have it. And as you look out at the mountains or the oceans or this whole new city that you live in, feel the pride inside yourself that you took the risk and that you're going to see her next month when you go home. And in a weird way, visualize and feel how this distance and you growing up has made your relationship stronger. Visualize that moment where you lose your job and going, but that's okay. I didn't like that job anyway. And I've met so many people here that now I'm networking and I've just landed something new. Visualize yourself winning. So I think you're getting this. I know you're getting this. Let me just recap because you know nobody gets left behind on the Mel Robbins podcast. Step 1, tell the truth. Your brain knows BS and we need the truth from you. What do you actually want? Step 2, you're going to use neuroscience, which means you're going to visualize and feel in your body all the little things you have to do, the annoying, the irritating. I want you to see it, to smell it. I want you to see yourself falling down or being scared and then picking yourself back up. And feel the pride. Push through the resistance. There you are doing it. Rehearse it in your mind over and over and over. And what you're really doing is you are decoding all the resistance that your fears put in. And you are encoding and rewiring a whole new track, a tape in your mind that shows you doing the work and making it happen. And this is what Olympic athletes do. This is what Mel Robbins does. This is what successful people in business do. And this is what you're going to be doing now. And so now I want to teach you something else, because I think what's going to happen is that you're going to get all excited and you're going to identify and tell the truth about what you want. And you're going to sit down and you're going to go to start visualizing the steps. And then something interesting is going to happen. You might find that something weird happens because this is what happened to Mara and it's extremely common. So listen to this question.
Hey, Mel. My name's Mara. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I have a question for you. I was just curious. How does one tackle overcoming imposter syndrome while manifesting? So how can I take the steps to work on a business that I'm passionate about, interior design with absolutely no experience other than my own home, and planning my own parties and gifting during the seasons and birthdays? When I see these types of businesses online, they really, really inspire me to create, but the thought of me doing it myself is so scary.
Okay, I love this question. This is so juicy and great, and I just am so happy, Mara, that you asked this. So first of all, let's just stop saying imposter syndrome, okay, everybody? Because when you're new to something, you're a student. That's it. You're a beginner. That's it. You're not an imposter. You're not faking anything. You're actually figuring it out. It's part of the process. And so stop saying you have imposter syndrome, because all you do is you have a dream and you're going to begin to chip away at it. That's what we're doing here. So that's number 1. Number 2, this is really common. And the reason why it's really common is because your fear is so big and your self-doubt is so big and you've never done this thing before. And you can tell based on the fact that, Mara was kind of laughing. She's like, oh my God, I kind of love this thing. And so she's diminishing how big of a dream this is. And a lot of us do that. We kind of make a little bit of a joke or downplay it a little bit, or we're nervous about it. We kind of don't even admit it. So first of all, I'm proud of you for admitting it, Maura. That's step one, you told the truth. Step two, the things you need to do, you can figure out because you're a student, you're a beginner, you love this, you're smart, and there's Google, and there's YouTube, and that's going to give you the steps. And those are the things that you need to visualize. So when you sit down and you start to visualize and mentally rehearse, remember, you're an Olympic athlete, you're a winner. We're using neuroscience here. We're going to decode all those fears and all those bullshit excuses, and we're going to re-encode some confidence, and we're going to see you doing it. You might experience not being able to picture yourself in the visualization. This is super common. So here's what you're going to use. You're going to use the power of objectivity. That's it. What does that mean? That means if you can't picture yourself doing the work, pick somebody that you admire who you could visualize doing the work. And there's a catch here. So for example, you could pick me. You could pick an interior designer that you absolutely love. There's so many of them online that you could pick from, that you can follow on Instagram, and you can imagine them in there taking the certifications, asking their friends if they could stage their apartment for an Instagram photo shoot, networking with realtors, trying to get a job in a design firm or heck in an amazing furniture retail location. So you start to kind of build up the acumen. There's all kinds of things you can do. If you can't picture yourself doing those small steps, put in me or somebody that you deeply admire who's already in the interior design business. Your mind will allow you, through the power of objectivity, to imagine someone else. Now, here's the catch. Because remember, I'm the O-line. I'm your offensive lineman. I'm clearing the path. So I'm not doing this on my own. I'm doing this, and I'm in your visualization so you can score with the ball. So at some point in that visualization, let's just say you get a job at one of your favorite retail stores that sells furniture and is in the design business. And let's just say you put me in there and I'm the one that's managing the store. At some point in that visualization, I want you to visualize me turning around and extending my hand and saying, "Come on, Maura, it's your turn. Come here and help me." And let me invite you to join my side in your visualization. Visualize us doing the work together. It's a super awesome hack. And using the power of objectivity, we can work around that blind spot in your brain until you're ready to fire Mel Robbins from that job. And now you can start visualizing yourself doing all the steps you're scared to take now. Super cool. Now let's get to step 4, because this is probably the most important part of manifesting according to neuroscience. And I think absolutely everybody forgets to tell you this part. Let's play Cynthia's question.
Hi, my name is Cynthia. I'm from Temecula, California. My question was to Mel, how do you go about manifesting without feeling like a sense of selfishness? I was raised in a very strict Catholic household. And when you asked for things, it was kind of like you had to do something in return. So I feel like when I'm asking the universe or God, whatever you believe in, for my things that I'm manifesting, I feel like I owe somebody something or something's going to get taken away. So it makes me a little nervous to ask or manifest.
Cynthia, I got to tell you, you're right. You're right. When you manifest, it's not selfish at all, by the way. It's an act of self-love when you train your mind to help you get what you want. But when you manifest, you are going to owe somebody something. And you know what you owe them? Fucking work. That's right. You have to do the thing you're visualizing. When you sit there and you intentionally, mentally rehearse the steps you need to take, there is something that you owe the universe and you owe yourself, and that is to take the action. You're not just going to sit there and train. At some point, that Olympic athlete has to do the race. At some point, you've got to make the cold call. At some point, you got to quit the job or pack the U-Haul trailer or get off your ass and do the training run at 5 a.m. So you better believe there is going to be something that is asked of you in return. And that's where the magic comes in, because the magic is in your actions. And manifesting, according to neuroscience, just gets your own fears and people's judgments and your childhood wiring out of the way, so that you can take those actions. True science-backed manifestation. It's not as sexy as The Secret makes it seem, and it's actually not as complicated as a huge PhD study makes it seem. You just have to do it. That's it. You have to take the actions. You do owe the universe and yourself something. You owe yourself the actions, the effort, the work that's required. That's what your dreams demand. I talk about this all the time. You know, we all want to believe that somehow you're going to close your eyes and imagine what you want and it's going to magically happen. I'm sorry, that may happen on TikTok or in Disney, but that is not how the real world works. The way that you are going to make something a reality is you are going to declare that you want it, and then you are going to tediously, annoyingly, wake up every single day and push yourself to lay one brick in a path with one action every day. It's not going to be easy, but day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, action by action, as you visualize yourself taking the steps, and then you actually push yourself to do the steps, you will wake up and realize you have paved a brick path to your dreams. And you are now, 10 years later, 5 years later, sitting on the porch of your ocean house. You are crossing the finish line of the New York City Marathon. You are making the final turn in that giant slalom race. That is how this works. So you do owe something. You got to put your skin in the game and your ass on the line. And you do that by waking up every day and taking one of those small steps forward that you visualized and practiced and rehearsed by manifesting properly according to neuroscience. Now let me say the final mistake. You ready for the final mistake? This is mistake number 4. You get impatient. I cannot tell you how many people literally give up on their dreams and they are one audition away from making it. Or how many people stop working on their business and they were 1 hour away from the breakthrough that they needed in the financial model. Or you give up on that novel or cookbook you wanted to write because you got frustrated by the creative process. You make the mistake of thinking just because this is getting hard or it's boring or it's tedious, it's not working. Here's the thing I need you to understand. When it comes to achieving your goals and your dreams, there is no timeline involved. You have to give up the when, and you got to stay focused on the why and the how. And you now know the how. The how is using neuroscience to remove the resistance in your mind and your nervous system and your body, and then pushing yourself to do the work, because manifesting is not magically making something appear. Manifesting is preparing your mind, body, and spirit to do the work to make it a reality. Overnight success does not exist, period. Yes, there are a lot of people that are gotten lucky. Yes, privilege is real. Bias is a fact. And it is really easy to get jealous. But what you aren't seeing when you focus on the end result is the years and years and years that went into this moment. Like, a lot of people are looking at me right now and they're like, holy cow, this is one of the most successful podcast launches in history. How the hell did that happen overnight? It didn't. This has been in the works for 10 years. I have been chipping away at it, doing the work behind the scenes before I even launched this thing. You have to ask yourself, I think, when it comes to the big stuff, are you willing to work 10 years for it? Are you willing to work 10 years for that beach house? Are you willing to work 10 years for that $1 million in the bank? Are you willing to work 10 years to get that PhD, to heal your trauma, to be happy? Because that's how long it might take. And if we're being really honest here, if it's a really big thing, it could take even longer, and that's okay. Because you know what? There's nothing more fulfilling in life than chipping away at your dreams and your goals. That's what gives your life meaning. Achieving your goals doesn't give your life meaning. Working on them, working towards something bigger than where you're at right now, that is where the real secret sauce is. Like, if you want to be successful in business, you got to get ready to make 100 hours of cold calls about your product or about the thing you're selling before you get one person that doesn't hang up on you. I'm not even talking about a yes. And that's where visualization comes in. You got to visualize the no's. If you want to be a writer, how about getting ready to write for 5 years? 5 years of drafts. 5 years of what Anne Lamott calls your shitty first draft. Days and days and days of sitting down every single day, because this is what a writer does. They sit down and they write no matter what. Days where you sit there and you stare at a blank piece of paper. Visualize that. And visualize yourself keep going. Visualize publishers saying no and no and no. And then finally, somebody says yes, or you self-publish. See, the time and the effort that you have to put in, it's not glamorous, everybody. It's not easy. And there are going to be times that you're going to feel like giving up. And this is what separates the people who achieve their goals from the people who don't, in my opinion. It's this quitting day. It's this moment where you throw in the towel. If you can go one more day, you can make it happen. Because then you can go another. See, the benefit of waking up every day and using manifesting, according to neuroscience, to visualize yourself continuing to go forward, is that when the going gets tough, you will have trained your brain and your nervous system that you're the kind of person that keeps going. And when your body and your brain knows that about you, when the going gets tough, you will keep going. So please, once you're honest with yourself about what you want, put in the time. Bring a lot of patience. And I promise, if you're willing to put in the work and the effort, and you're willing to continue to train your mind to believe that, yes, in fact, you are going to cross that finish line. You are going to have that $1 million in the bank. You are going to have the happiness and the love and the health that you deserve. You're going to have the family you've always dreamt of. You will eventually make it happen. I believe that. Honestly, I just love this shit because manifesting according to neuroscience is one of my superpowers. If I'm not talking, I'm probably manifesting something that I want. I currently do not have a beach house. And let me tell you, I have 2 or 3 particular homes in mind that are currently occupied. I have all kinds of manifesting according to neuroscience going on. I'm in no hurry. I know this takes time. I keep seeing myself chipping away at it. I see the letter I'm going to write and I'm going to stick it in the note box. I see myself working to make the money. I also have done this with this podcast, you guys. This was 2 years in the making before we recorded our first episode. You know what I was doing? I was busy manifesting all the hard and tedious stuff that would lead me here and actually doing it. Another thing I'm manifesting, we are getting this incredible studio space in Boston. And so I keep having these visions of making the drive down from Southern Vermont. I have this vision of one of our team members, Charlotte, standing out front of the building with a clipboard. And she has this little, like, kind of one of those headset walkie-talkie things on. And she's greeting this SUV that comes up. I am upstairs having stress diarrhea because the Dalai Lama is stepping out of the SUV and is coming up to be on the Mel Robbins podcast. And I am managing through my stomach ache as Charlotte is walking the Dalai Lama through our lobby and up the elevator to our brand new, insanely cool. This is what I do, everybody, because it's a superpower. I am training my mind to help me make my big dreams and visions a reality. I'm even doing this for our daughters. I'm manifesting what it looks like for our daughter I want her to do it next fall. I'm visualizing her halfway around the world and working her way around the world. I'm visualizing our other daughter spending late nights in a session writing her music. I can feel what it's going to feel like when she calls crying and saying that something happened. And so I'm doing this for me. I do it for you. I do it for the people that I love. This stuff is awesome because in some way, when you really get good at this, it is true what the research at UCLA says. You do trick your own brain. When we started this podcast, finally, after years of thinking about it and 2 years of properly manifesting according to neuroscience, I was so rehearsed. I had a Madgeread, or whatever the hell the word is that the Olympians used, that when I stepped in to record our first episode, it felt like I had been doing this for 10 years. Because in my mind, I've been preparing that long.